Okay, everyone. I wanted to give you a little bit more of a sneak peek behind the scenes of what's happening with the Dinodawgs 3D. So I thought I would just do a little screen recording of what is happening. I'm in a program called Keyshot right now. So Keyshot is the program we're using for rendering our Dinodawgs. You can see it's recalculating as I rotate around this guy. So at the moment I've got some traits you may not have seen on. This is one of our new skins. This is loosely based on a salamander. And we've got some syrup coming out of his mouth, which as today is in the UK Shrove Tuesday, where traditionally we eat pancakes. And we've got one of the peat caps. So I just thought I would very quickly run you through some of the stuff here. On the right hand side of the screen you can see I've got a whole list of pieces and things that I've been working on. So let me show you some of the stuff in here. So we've got the Viking helmet, for example. This is a slightly cleaner version of the Viking helmet. So these are all fitted and modelled in a program called Maya, and then I add the surfacing materials and the texture detail. Well, the texture detail I add here, or I'll do it in Photoshop or sometimes in ZBrush. We've got things like the beanie. Let's see if the beanie comes in. There we go. So it's interesting because some of the stuff, like the beanie for example, I feel often case once you get the profile picture you don't really see how much detail there is in there. So we've got all the stitching in there, which I'm particularly pleased at. We've got some other things like the wizard's hat. That's a new trait because it was one that I thought would be fun for 3D. And again, we've got that has a custom texture. It also has a sort of leather material that gives it this lovely sort of cracked look to it. That was made in ZBrush. What else do we have? We have things like the bucket head. Now the bucket head's interesting because you'll see here it doesn't quite look as rusty as it does in some of the previous you've been doing. That's because most of these 3D traits get a little bit of a post-treatment afterwards where I add some more texture detail. That's mostly done in Photoshop. We've got things like the hat. This is a fun little version of a hat that's oversized. So this is the oversized hat. And then we've also got a regular sized hat. What else do we have? We have things like, I've got frog teeth. Here we go, frog teeth. And so let's turn our drooling off. So the frog was a really fun one to do. Little tricky to fit inside the mouth. As you can see, the teeth are curling around these legs. We've done a few texture variants of this frog, but it's quite fun. I can also it's got a kind of translucent shader on it to give it a little more of a fleshy look, which is fun to do. I can also change some of these tones and colours to something else. What else do we have? We have, this was a fun one, the Stegosaurus Plates. When we did the original 2Ds, we did look at doing like Triceratops horns and stuff, but they just looked sort of slapped on a little bit, but the Stegosaurus plates I think are working very nicely. Let's see, let's take those off. We've got things like the bloody teeth. Now that's one of the original 2D traits that is translated to 3D. Let's just change some of this up so you can see how some of this works. With something like the body, you can see here I've got this orangey red texture. If I go to our material editor, you can see these are all the materials that we're using on this particular item. So if I'm gonna edit the body, I have a whole load of different skin textures that we've been playing with and painting versions of. So I can go and quickly load in a different one so we can look at some. You can see some of them here. This was one we've been recently playing with, like a possible giraffe texture, which is looking a bit bright there. Let me just reset our settings here. So this is what the giraffe texture would look like. We're still on the fence about this one, not sure if it's going to roll out or not. It's a fun one, but we'll see. What else do we have? We've got, let's go to a different one. You'll have seen this sort of striped, kind of almost camo-like texture possibly. There's a green version of that as well. Other ones that you'll have seen, the sort of toad-like texture. That's one I'm really happy with. And then there's some stuff you just plain won't have seen. Either we've abandoned it or we've decided we didn't like it. This was a test of a cheetah pattern. This one looks very printy, which I didn't like. So it's one that I'm going to have to come back and either try again or do a better version of or adapt this, but it was one that we are not pushing at the moment. And then you've got some of the classic ones like the poison arrow skin, which I'm poison arrow frog, which I'm very, very pleased with. What else can I show you in here? We've got things like the cowboy hat. Let's turn the body back on. There we go, cowboy hat. Now the cowboy hat and the stego, you'll never get them together because they're both accessories. So I'm going to just turn the stego plates off. What other stuff might you not have seen so far? We've got some classics like the construction helmet. That's one of the new 3D traits. You may not have seen the pirate hat. That's a new 3D trait as well. What else do we have? Obviously people have seen the popsicle. That's new. Let me just scroll down. The nose ring is new. The nose ring is an interesting one. It was one that we wanted to do on the original dinos, but we just couldn't get it to work. We've got things like shark teeth. They're back. They were in the original version. I feel like they need a little more work on the texturing. They're a little bit yellow. I want a bit more white in there. And again, we've got stuff that you might have seen that is like still being worked on, things like razor blade teeth. Now that kind of jars with the whole the cute sort of dino aesthetic. So we're not sure if that's going to stick around or not. The twig collar, that's a new one for 3D. And then as of today, we've got some fun ones, like we've got the stack of pancakes. That's brand new. Let me just turn some teeth on. There we go. What else do we have? We have, I'll turn those off. We have the navy cap. That is a modified, that's a version of the original. And this is another one where it's really nice to be able to go in and show you guys things like, as this calculates, you can see it's rendering live. You can see there's all this lovely fabric detail on the cap, which I don't know that you always pick up. And the same is true of the little sailor's cap as it calculates. You can see this lovely canvas material on there, which there's a lot of detail going into the surface materials of these 3D traits. What's another fun one? The halo. Halo's back in. We haven't added the glow yet. There's a little bit of light coming off it, but that's still to be refined. The fish's head. I think most of you will have seen the fish's head. Oh, now that's interesting. I've still got my syrup shader on that one. That's really funny. So we can tweak the materials. So this one actually, I've just done the syrup pancakes, and it's sort of altered my liquid material. So now this fish has syrup. I need to switch that back to sort of water. So yeah, there we go. This was a little behind the scenes of where we're at with the 3Ds, how that process works. Obviously there's the modeling and the texturing phase, and then we go into this lovely rendering and shading phase, which is a lot of fun. And I'm really enjoying bringing you guys some of the more interesting, newer traits. So it's fun to be able to do that, and translating the old ones. But I mean, doing the Viking helmet was really cool. Loved that. That was great. So hopefully you guys will have enjoyed this, and I will see you guys online.